Oh man, the absolute revelations that have come about as of late. It feels like we've entered a brave new world, haven't we? That's right everyone, Dragon Ball Super the Manga Chapter 74 is here, and if you think that the confrontation is going to end right here and now, you would be mistaken. It turns out, there is more to this story than meets the eye, and we can finally see some catharsis towards the likes of Granolah and how annoying he's been in the last couple of chapters. I am here to review for you Chapter 74 of the story, which I view on Viz Media's website for a couple of bucks a month for the whole series, or for free for this and the last couple of chapters. Chapter 74, Granolah vs Vegeta. Again, this is something pretty obvious, but at least there is no confusion. Thanks Brandon, the letterer of the manga. You can check out our interview with Brandon, the letterer for the manga, on my podcast channel Up on the Lookout to find out some juicy behind the scenes stuff about the Super manga. Where we last left off, we saw the battle proper between Goku and Granolah, and for the most part, it was quite the thrilling spectacle. With a combination of new battle scenery, some close quarter combat, as well as seeing more of Mastered Ultra Instinct, it seemed like there would be some kind of conclusion to this first battle in the saga. Trust me, there is no way that this is the end, we've only just begun, because Vegeta hadn't even fought yet. However, things got a little more compelling when we found out that Granolah, somehow, was using a clone of himself, a perfect clone I might add, from a distance to fight Goku. That just blew our minds last month. And the moment the real one came in, the Saiyan got wasted in one strike. How did this come about? Well, we reckon it's Yardratian training from the future, but that's only a theory. For now. We head towards this chapter with Vegeta now, having understood the origins of the Ceruleans from what we can actually gather and what he detected earlier in the arc, and you can check out some fan art examples I used for my hashtag Sherlock Vegeta last month at the end of this video. But for now, let's get into the manga proper. The chapter begins with the Shigarians fleeing for their lives as more of their civilization is being torn apart by the Vegeta and Granolah fight, as well as the aftermath from Goku's encounter with the Cerulean. Needless to say, I reckon that this will have consequences going forward into future chapters, with these people being less hospitable toward Granolah, thinking him an enemy, him losing key allies in his continued existence on his former homeworld. Yeah, the idea that he's slowly becoming everything that he ever hated, a destroyer of worlds. Oh, he's not gonna like that. That's food for thought for future chapters. So Vegeta continues on with the very real assertion that Frieza is no longer their boss, and that he and him had parted company a long time ago, which is true, and that he too would like to end the evil, self-obsessed and ugly tyrant. But as we all know, Granolah ain't gonna believe that because, he's crazy. He laughs it off and claims the prince is being pathetic and he's betraying his boss. Oh, you don't want to do that to the prince. Belittling him. To quote 18 from DBZA, Yup. After what seems like an eternity, Oatmeal, that's Granolah's, gets back on the line to possibly point out that maybe these Saiyans are telling the truth and that there's continuity with he and Goku's story about not being the bad guys, but the cereal guy still thinks that they're being little scaredy cats. Who does he think they are? Raditz? Hey, I'm a Raditz fan, but hey, we gotta roll with what we got in the actual canon. Raditz a bit of a coward. So then Vegeta's all like, so you choose death, and begins to power up to Super Saiyan Blue, and start to use, like Granolah did earlier, a move worthy of Moro, crunching the ground to force said ground around them to fly upward, and then Granolah to do the same. I will admit, throughout all the very impressive and detailed smoke work in this chapter, Granolah does come up with some good subversive observations, one-liners, in the sense that he relates to Vegeta's method of using rapid-fire ki attacks, making up for things with quantity rather than pure qualitative power. It's a fair point. Remember the times when Vegeta's been desperate and he's been all about the Daka? Yeah, that's fair enough, Grainy Boy. However, the content begins to thin in terms of text, as this chapter, much like Chapter 72, is mostly about action and how Vegeta is going to handle the power of Granolah. At first he gets a classic punch to the gut, and then for the next few pages, it feels like he's more on the defensive rather than being the one actually pushing forward like he had talked about beforehand. But then again, this is going the other way that usual Vegeta fights go. Usually he starts off strong and then tapers away when he gets over the top. So maybe there's hope. Now, one thing to take into account here, folks, is that Toyotaro's art is once again improving. His backgrounds are gorgeous. It must be noted on a creative level that this is certainly detailed and really bringing in the immersion and atmosphere of the world of Planet Cereal. So credit where credit is due here. I'm glad that these guys are fighting in an alpine-like region rather than yet another barren wasteland, and I'm sure you are too. Also, this attack by Granolah is pretty nifty. You know, an archery technique, which is so assisted also by Oatmeal, which does imply that he does need outside assistance, lending some more notions towards the fact that Oatmeal might be an AI. Check out our theory video up top about their identity for more. And after shooting that poison arrow with his heart, it goes into the water. And it may not be enough to damage Vegeta exactly, but it's enough to make him be hurled out of the soggy stuff and gasping for air. Good to see at least not some classic damage and some more variable outcomes to spring up unannounced. Sort of like a good game of Pathfinder. Vegeta, he rolled a 9. Granolah even notes the durability of Saiyans, a very rare thing to do amidst all the crazy, eh? And once again, he then grandstands and Vegeta shoots it down, just like the former did with Ki just now. Clearly, like we suggested during the previous chapter review, Vegeta has definitely got something up his sleeve, and he knows that he can do better than he is letting on right now. And if you've seen the spoilers, which I think you probably have, you'll understand what's about to happen. He does have something up his sleeve. Then Vegeta starts to get bored, with Granolah stonewalling the idea that he does have the advantage, and calls him Mr. Strongest. And I gotta admit, I laughed at that. I like that name. And I can also imagine Vegeta putting on a voice and going like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, okay, Mr. Strongest, beat me with your fisty wisties." Oh. Yeah, the prince is very much enjoying riling up this one, I can definitely tell. He's loving this fight. You know, I've actually never seen this before. Vegeta being this passionate about a battle. Maybe back in the Saiyan saga, but right now, he's actually really enjoying this. Like, not just doing the typical, soliloquies and dialogues and monologues that he does that we've grown to love. But this time he's actually sort of goading Granolah, getting under his skin and all that stuff. It's really classic Z. I'm liking this Vegeta. Suddenly, Goku wakes up from his pressure point of napping and spots that Vegeta has joined the fight. He literally says Vegeta has joined the fight like it were an actual fighting game. And then here comes the classic Daka Daka from the Jeets, to which Granolah is able to cancel out, because of course he can. Nonetheless, after Vegeta shoots his biggest load, stop it, Granolah says that resisting is pointless. Oh, missed opportunity there, man. Just say resistance is useless. Classic sci-fi trope right there. But going back to what I said earlier, about Granolah blowing up his past and other remains of the city, Vegeta is very much on the ball with us, the audience, and calls out Granolah on that, and sure enough the Cerulean blames Vegeta for it, somehow. Yep, classic Cerulean logic there. And not only that, Detective Vegeta continues his observations, rumbling how he got this power and how he got it so quickly. Sure, he has the skills and techniques, but he hasn't got the sheer battle experience to make up for it. It's like he used a game genie and got cheat codes, and what does the Cerulean do now? Is your answer have a tantrum? You'd be 100% correct. Another thing that we're correct on, haven't I, is that Granolah indeed didn't train after getting that power from Torombo, the Cerulean dragon. All the while, Goku and Vegeta were training, the bounty hunter confirming this himself. Ah yes, the flashback to Monaito saying these infamous words is ringing fresh in my ears. Finally, after all this grandstanding, Vegeta is able to elbow Granolah in the leg, and that hurt, finally. But I bet it was worth it. Now here is when some cool stuff happens with Vegeta. Him being more accepting about his role within the Dragon team. At least for now. He's no longer bothered with rankings and comparisons. To him now, they are but fleeting. Things can change, so long as you can progress, build upon, and toughen up, ultimately. And that's what he loves about fighting. This is really poignant stuff from the Prince. I'm actually loving this. It's really cool. He's even strengthened since they started fighting. That is until the fingers of death show up and Granolah gets him in the pressure point. Man, if this were more lemony, I would say that Granolah with those fingers would be a dynamite in the sack, if you know what I mean. He could also rival Star Platinum's Star Finger! But wait, Vegeta's actually enjoying this. This is his Happy place. Oh, this is getting dark. I'm loving this. And then, of course, we get this. God of Destruction Vegeta, born from a battle, power derived from instinct unbounded. And the chapter ends on that. All in all, to me, this chapter was actually really illuminating. I really like the whole thing with Vegeta being the focus of this, and not just in the fact that, oh, he's just fighting Granolah, but more about the fact that he's being really candid about his feelings about battle, and they're really, really raw and passionate, really from the heart. Something that I didn't expect. Like, sure, we could get the typical Super Dragon Ball Heroes-worthy grandstanding of like, oh, my power has exceeded more than you can possibly imagine, and all that stuff. But no, this is actually going down to the pit of Vegeta's soul. The prince is bearing himself out right now to Granolah because he wants, after seeing Granolah being so stubborn, and after researching their history, that these civilians do need to die. That Granolah is just not getting through. And that Vegeta's just like, oh well, you made your own bed, I'm now going to make it up for you. And kill you. Yeah, that analogy was going somewhere. But either way, this battle was really, really cool. The panels were really good, the backgrounds, like I said, were really detailed, and the fact that Goku didn't get involved at all is an actual blessing, and surprised that Vegeta is actually doing something, and noticing that God Ki is really coming into it, and the fact that with this transformation, I've talked about my initial thoughts about this in a video I did a couple of days ago, but right now, after sitting on it and just taking a look at it and now seeing the translation properly, this is basically Vegeta's interpretation of Ultra Instinct using Hakai energy, pure God Ki, not just the angelic nature of Whis and what Goku's got. This feels much more visceral and in keeping with Vegeta. It's like we said before, Vegeta's never going to learn Ultra Instinct. Now we know why. This is his thing. This is something that we are going to see. And what more I think we will see is Granolah going slowly, slowly mad. This is going to be the thing that will turn the tide in Vegeta's favour. And it may not be enough to kill Granolah, but it will certainly at least make him retreat. He won't be defeated exactly in the traditional sense. He will most likely have to regroup and go somewhere else and go into hiding to figure out what's going on. Like, he'll then have to wish on Torombo again to get even stronger, because, sure enough, he didn't train. Now we know. And we know that Goku and Vegeta did train. And Monaito said, you may be the strongest right now, but you might not be tomorrow. And this is tomorrow, people. Granolah is not the strongest anymore. He thinks he is, but he totally isn't. And I'm loving the fact that in the next chapter, most likely, he is going to get mullered. It's going to make me feel really good. Sorry. It's just Granolah's been really rubbing me up the wrong way in the last couple of chapters. You know, him just going like, I don't care, Saiyans must die, I cannot be swayed, even by my own partner! Oatmeal, the fact that they're even actually able to try and get through to him, I mean, that's something. It's just showing, yeah, Granolah's going mad. And this is the start of the downfall. This is almost the point of no return. And I'm actually really liking this. This has been a really good chapter. I've had a lot of fun with this. But I think we need a fan art prompt. Let me know about, what are we going to have? I know, hashtag silly Granolah. This one's a little bit abstract, but I really want you to come up with something good. Basically make Granolah looking like he's being a bit silly. And the fan art that I will choose will be in next month's review. I think you can probably tell I like this chapter. But what did you folks think of the chapter itself? Did you think Vegeta was the star of the show in this one? Or was this just really a weird introduction to yet another transformation? Do let me know in the comments, and I shall see you next month for Chapter 75. Until then, folks, catch you later!